Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is BDF44, and you are watching my channel. Thank you for doing so. I clicked on my fan. You will say, why the heck did he do that? It's because it's too quiet and it's early in the morning, and I got my windows open. People are going to hear everything I got to say, and I don't know. I'm like that. But anyway, shout out to AD. Check this out. So, Daryl Morey, previously of the Houston Rockets, he was their GM for many years, had the whole situation that rubbed some people the wrong way with his comments in regards to China and some of the things that they got going on politically, socially. Well, he's got a new job. The thing about Daryl Morey, and it sucks that he's being remembered for that nonsense, but the reality is he's one of the more unorthodox GMs in sports history. He did a lot of things with the Houston Rockets that people would consider bold. Took on Mike D'Antoni, took on the Westbrook contract. Obviously made it so that he had a system in place that superstars could want to play in. A fast-paced system, Phoenix-style system, Mike D'Antoni system. And he's turned James Harden to an MVP twice over, and has gotten him MVP runner-up probably 6 times at this point in his career, 5 or 6 times, if not runner-up in the conversation. Westbrook, at the end of the season, before the COVID bubble, was playing some of the best basketball he's played post-superstardom. He rekindled Eric Gordon's career after him being riddled with injury. He's been having a fantastic rebirth in Houston. There's a lot of good things to say about Houston. He found Daniel House, good player, even though he had some things that went wrong in the bubble. Obviously, we know about. The point is, he's a fantastic piece that he found out of nowhere. So Daryl Morey's done some good things for the Rockets, and he did some not so good things for the Rockets. One of the things I did not like that he did was believing too much in small ball and removing the center entirely from the system. Excuse me. That was not a good decision, in my opinion, and it got them bounced out of the second round several times. Bounced out of the playoffs several times, particularly out of the second round this year to my Los Angeles Lakers. They just didn't have size, and it was a drastic mismatch, and it was because of Daryl Morey's decision to make such a mismatch possible. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, why do I want to make a video about Daryl Morey going to the Philadelphia 76ers? Because I think it's a perfect fit. I think it's a better fit for Daryl Morey than the Houston Rockets was. The reason why I think this is a perfect fit is because Daryl Morey is an innovator, a bold, innovative mind. They didn't make him GM. They made him president of basketball operations if he indeed takes this job with Philadelphia, meaning that he would not be in control of the GM duties. He would be in control of every duty. He would hire the GM. He would hire everybody, basically, from my understanding. That's what the president's job is to do, oversee all basketball operations. And I like that for him. Why? Because you're giving him Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. And he's super unorthodox. And their fit together is super unorthodox. What the Philadelphia 76ers have needed is one of two things. Either they need to break that team up and get rid of one of those two kids, which in my opinion, it's an option I would consider. I'm not going to lie to you guys, but a guy like Daryl Morey can make it so that I don't have to make that decision. I think he is the type of guy who can make it so that they have a synergy that they didn't have at any other point. He can put a team around them, coupled with the mind of Doc Rivers as their coach, that can make it so that they can fit better than they ever have before. Or Daryl Morey is the type of GM to pull off a trade for one of those two players and not think twice about it. And that's the type of bold energy you need in Philadelphia. I think either way, whether you're thinking about putting together a team that makes it so that these two guys are able to have a fitting team, or if you're looking to make a great deal for those guys, either way, Daryl Morey is the type of guy you want at the top of your food chain for Philadelphia if you want to make some innovative and bold moves. And that's exactly what this is about. Philadelphia has made the decision. Elton Brand. I don't quite know who's all at the top of that thing, but the last time I looked, it was Elton Brand who was the GM there. They have made some decisions to hold on to their coach that wasn't very good, in my opinion, to not really put any shooting around players who were unorthodox, like Ben Simmons, who doesn't shoot, and Joel Embiid, who's very, very, very massive, but not very fast and does like to shoot. He's an unorthodox player to build around. Ben Simmons is a pass-first, 7-foot defensive monster who can slash at the rim at will, but is scared of shooting threes. And that's the truth, like literally that. So I need somebody who knows how to make bold moves. I need somebody who has a creative mind for putting rosters together. I need somebody who's not going to go with the grain in terms of trying to build like other teams build, because the reality is the Philadelphia 76ers fit doesn't allow for that. Ben Simmons needs the ball in his hands, and he needs to be passing it to guys who can shoot it, and to Joel Embiid in situations where he can succeed. Joel Embiid needs to get the ball in the paint, even though he prefers to shoot threes. He needs to understand the importance of getting in the paint and dominating like he did against the Lakers a couple years ago, because he ate us up. I think the best game he ever played was in Staples Center against the Lakers. He just was a monster in the paint, and he was relentless. He would not let our kids have anything. He just dominated them completely. I think that was the day we truly traded the kids, because we realized that they were no match for a real superstar that day. And so it's like, you just got to get the most out of this dude. And the best way to do that is to bring in a guy like Daryl Morey. And Daryl Morey is going to be like, all right, look, I know basketball is to be played a certain way, but we're throwing all that away. What we're going to do is make it so that Joel Embiid is comfortable and Ben Simmons has the ball in his hands. And that is ultimately the type of way to build around the Philadelphia 76ers. How do you do that? Well, see, that's the thing. That's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Who knows? But I'd imagine a guy like Daryl Morey, who would completely remove the center entirely from the system just to make it work, will figure it out. He will figure it out. That's the point. You need somebody like him to answer the big question. How the hell do you make Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid fit? So that's why I love the hire. It's going to be interesting to see him having more power. To see what he does with that. Because obviously he's not the GM. He is president of basketball operations. So it's going to be interesting to see if that's a good thing for him. Philadelphia is a demanding city. So a lot of stuff that he was able to do in Houston with the fan base, Phillies fans may not take well to that. They are an impatient bunch at this point. They set through the process, and it didn't process a championship. So, you got to be very careful not to piss those people off and have them wanting to run you out of town. But at the same time, Daryl Morey's cachet and his name and the mystique behind some of the decisions that he's made makes it so that Philly's probably very intrigued. I heard Stephen A. Smith say that the Philadelphia 76ers need to trade for James Harden. I have a video on here that has said I think the Houston Rockets should trade James Harden if he wants to be traded, and they should do it as soon as possible, because it's just not a good situation for a superstar to be in. And he's going to waste away his career there. Now, I don't know how it benefits the Houston Rockets to trade him. Why do they care about that, right? Just keep him in there so they can keep booties in seats, basically. But, I mean, with COVID going on, how many seats do you have? I don't know. But either way, you want him for revenue. At this point, if he wants to stay in Houston, there's nothing to talk about. But if he wants to get out of Houston, and he wouldn't mind going to play for his old GM, Daryl Morey, who helped him get to the MVP, at the top of the MVP race a bunch of times. I wouldn't be against that proposal for either team. I really wouldn't. I think the Houston Rockets, I don't know if you trade Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid. Obviously, the Houston Rockets need a center. Maybe you do make that move. I wouldn't be hesitating to part ways with Joel Embiid if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers, if it brings me back James Harden. Then James Harden and Ben Simmons fits a whole lot better, in my opinion, than Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. But they both need the ball in their hands nevertheless. And James Harden, you definitely want him to have the ball in his hands. So can him and Ben Simmons coexist? I don't love the fit. I don't love it. But I do think that Ben Simmons is going to allow James Harden to play off the ball a lot more. And I think like in LeBron James' situation, that's going to benefit him. To not be the sole facilitator, to not have the ball in his hands, pounding it a million times, trying to make something happen. I like the idea of James Harden being a spot-up shooter here and there. I think he'd be amazing at it. And he hasn't had that opportunity very much in the system that he's been in. So, I think if you take Ben Simmons and you put him with James Harden, if James Harden is comfortable playing off the ball in certain situations, being set up by a great passer, that could be fun. And as far as if you decide to maybe part ways with Ben Simmons and keep Joel Embiid if you're Philly and bring in James Harden, well, that works. That works very well because James Harden is going to make sure that Ben Simmons is getting the ball, and James Harden is going to have the ball in his hands plenty because it ain't going to be another ball handler there to take those opportunities away from him. And you're giving James Harden what he didn't have in Houston, which is rim protection, a lot more rim protection. So that's a good thing. Even though Houston was a good defensive team for what they were worth, they just didn't have any size. So there's a lot of things to like there. Obviously, you mold the team and you've put players on the roster to fit it the way you want to. So what I just said only applies in theory. But, all of this is in theory. And in my mind, Daryl Morey is a fantastic approach to a very difficult puzzle. And I think he can make it fit. I think he can make those two players fit. So yeah, my name is BDF44. Obviously, we're going to see what that team does. But look, if you're the Philadelphia 76er fan, you feel pretty good about what's going on over there right now. Like, really good. You went from having a coach that was just there for sentimental reasons, not really for X's and O's, because he knew Ben Simmons' family and they really loved the guy, to now having one of the most prestigious non-championship winning front offices that you'll ever see. Because Daryl Morey doesn't have a ring. And although Doc has one ring, that's not something that we're thinking about right now, being that he was the coach of that Clipper team that just did what happened there. So, they're not known for their winning per se, but those are definitely two guys that you want running your franchise. Having power on your franchise. This is a good thing that the Philadelphia 76ers ownership and brain trust are doing, putting together their front office. And Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers, I wouldn't be surprised if they're coming out of the East within the next couple years, regardless of what happens with their roster. I think these are the moves. These are the moves you need to try to compete in the Eastern Conference. So yeah, congratulations to Philadelphia 76ers and their fans. I like this move a whole lot, and we'll see how it plays out. I've been wrong before, but this looks dangerous. My name is BDF44, and I'm out.